Oh my goodness. Okay. It's my second time filming this, because the first time I filmed this, I had really bad buzz in my mic audio. So now I am recording with other means, but regardless. The next-gen consoles came out recently, and it's got me both reflecting and comparing on the previous generation. It all started when I saw a tweet from the big Xbox man himself, Phil Spencer. He quoted that Xbox had their largest launch day in Xbox history. And in this tweet, he actually links an article on the Xbox blog that was written by CVP of Gaming at Microsoft, Liz Hamrin. She stated in this article that within the first 24 hours of this launch, more consoles were sold than any prior generation. She also goes on to say that there were more games played during this launch at 3,954 games total spanning across 4 generations. All of this setting a record for the most games played during a generation launch. And I almost feel as though this stats like irrelevant in terms of a launch, like considering it's taking into account spanning 4 generations. I really am curious as how many people were playing on like the VCR Xbox and either are getting a Series X or aren't even considering getting a Series X right now. And although this is just completely irrelevant, I feel like, to the actual console launch, I don't for a second think that they're lying about these numbers. I mean, gaming is certainly bigger than it ever has been. Like, just take a look at League of Legends. According to LeagueFeed.net, there are currently 115 million players on a monthly basis in League of Legends. And if you do the math, that's at least 1 million pentakills. People just clicking away, getting pentakills. Pentakills! I mean, but now that we know Xbox did well, let's take a look at PlayStation's numbers. Okay, unfortunately, PlayStation really hasn't released any concrete data on their sales numbers, similar to Xbox. But the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan, stated that he believes that the PS5 will sell more units in its first fiscal year than the PS4 sold in its respective first fiscal year. And the PS4 ended up selling 7 million units in its first fiscal year. I don't know how many times I'm going to say fiscal in this video. It's like physical, but it's not physical. It's fiscal. So even though there is a global pandemic going on, this certainly isn't stopping the sale of next generation consoles. And although it's not stopping the sale of them, it's also not stopping the demand that these consoles are getting. And it also doesn't help as well when Microsoft comes out and says that there's more than likely going to be a shortage of Series X's until April or even longer into 2021. I think it's also safe to assume though that Sony will probably experience similar shortages and time frames that the Xbox Series X is going to experience. I mean, both of these consoles sell out so freaking quickly on stores. But all of this speculation, I think, begs a serious question, and that is, should you buy these consoles at launch? And I mean, if you're thinking about buying a PS5, I would say yes. And the only reason I would say yes is because of spider trash. Yeah, that's a spider trash can. Spider-Man trash can. Why? Who made this abomination? But like, seriously, should you consider getting these consoles at launch? And I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't think so. And I can only really think of one primary reason to not get them, and that is launch titles. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the hardware that these consoles pack is unlike anything we've ever seen in any previous generation. And for the respective price tags, the amount of value packed into these boxes is crazy. I mean, dude, look at the PlayStation 5's load times. And the Series X's load times, for that matter. I mean, they're both just absolutely and utterly insane. Yeah, see? You're already in the game. Look at that. You're like from menu to game in like 0.5 seconds. But if we're being honest here, the main reason you're going to get these consoles, and the main reason you honestly should be getting these consoles, is going to be the exclusive games that they have to offer. And as far as exclusives for this particular launch, I mean, there really isn't any. And I actually have a list here of all the titles that will be launching with these consoles. And we'll start with Xbox. We have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dirt 5, Watch Dogs Legion, Maneater, Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon, Tetris Effect Connected, Gears Tactics, COD Black Ops Cold War, Fortnite, and should have been Halo Infinite, but I mean, we all know how that's going. And let's go over to the PS5, shall we? We have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Spider-Man Miles Morales, which might as well be DLC. We have Astro's Playroom, which is actually a demo for the new DualShock controller, so I don't even count that one. We have Bugsnax, Demon's Souls Remake, oh my goodness, an actual exclusive, Dirt 5, Godfall, Gunya Fighter. Yeah, whatever the hell that is. I don't... Oh, it's a Switch game. We have Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, Black Ops Cold War again, and Fortnite again. Yeah, that's it. Literally, I mean, 2 out of the however many games I just listed are actual console exclusives. And those 2 exclusives, of course, being the Demon's Souls remake as well as Astro's Playroom, which, like I said before, I mean, really doesn't even count because it's just a controller demo. So, I mean, we'll call it 1.5. Everything else on this list is either coming out on PC, already out on PC, or it's on both consoles that are coming out, or the last gen consoles, or both. I mean, it's really a mess. I mean, they're pretty much out on everything. I mean, so the way I really look at it is there's absolutely no rush to try and get these consoles at launch. I mean, certainly I would say probably like middle of 2021 would be when a lot of the launch window games will actually be out, so it may actually be worth picking one up by then. But I seriously think by the time the middle of 2021 comes around, you're gonna be better off just getting a PC. Because I mean, if you really think about it too, I mean, everything I feel like eventually comes out on PC. And also when it comes to PC, Xbox already has Game Pass, and they have Play Anywhere on most of their titles they're releasing, so it's going to come out on PC. The amount of customization and personalization you can put into a PC, both hardware and software, and on top of the immense sales that happen like 5 million times a year on PC titles, I mean, it's really a good route to go, and I would honestly consider you doing. But I mean, the fact that there aren't really launch titles for these consoles is not entirely a bad thing. I mean, it shows that we're going to a point where cloud gaming is becoming a bigger thing and cross-platform is becoming more and more accepted. And I mean, sure, when the Xbox 360 launched in 2005, it had games like COD 2 and Need for Speed Most Wanted and Bejeweled and freaking Geometry Wars. And even when the PS3 launched a year later after the Xbox 360, it had games like COD 3 and Resistance Fall of Man and Genji Days of the Blade. But it's obvious to me that that isn't the point of this current generation. For that reason, I don't think it should give you a reason to try and get your hands on these consoles as soon as possible. Don't get me wrong, the load times, the smoothness, the optimized games pretty much across the board is all a wonderful thing, but I mean, the actual exclusive titles just aren't there, and you could pretty much play everything already on your last gen consoles. Also, I mean, at this rate, you should just buy a PC. I'm telling you, PC is fantastic. Like, yeah, it's a little more investment, I feel like, than a console, but trust me, believe me when I say it is worth it. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel and see more content, I would greatly appreciate that. If you want to talk to me directly about some of this stuff, you can always leave a YouTube comment. I will be reading them. And if you actually want to have a conversation with me, you can check me out over on twitch.tv/MrJKHeath. I stream every single Wednesday and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I would love to have you there. I'd love to hang out, and I'd love to talk about this stuff more. Stay safe out there, and until next time, never freaking stop.